Look at this headline on Infowars.com. It's emblematic of everything we're facing. Imprisoned journalist Barrett Brown loses email privileges for talking to Infowars.com. He's in prison for reporting on WikiLeaks information, and now he talks to Infowars.com, and so they tell him, you're banned now from talking to anybody. Just disappearing into the electronic gulag. Then I have this headline. Coach posts an article and some comments that weren't even threatening to his lordship, Barack Hussein Obama, on Facebook and loses his job. Talk about totalitarianism. It's only intensifying day by day. Now, that said, I'm going to do my best to calmly go over all this today. It's absolutely must be covered. We have Dr. Jerome Corsi joining us for 30 minutes in the second hour to break down his expert take on the Iran situation and what he thinks Israel is going to do. He has a lot of high-level contacts in Israel, to say the least. Meanwhile, Israeli official military action against Iran still possible. That's Associated Press. There's a big push in the New York Times. We told you this was coming after the suicide kamikaze pilot over in Europe last week, the German air pilot. Now there's a push for planes without pilots and, of course, cars without drivers. That's in the stack here. More lies from Brian Williams. We have video. UN climate change official says we should make every effort to depopulate the planet. The story's on Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, and DrudgeReport.com right now. Colorado Diverse Discrimination says yes to gay marriage, no to Bible verses. You cannot make that up. They're saying that they'll sue you. The state will come after you if you don't make a gay events cakes. But if you want to refuse doing Bible verses, that's A-OK. See, it's all selective, ladies and gentlemen. Just like the IRS persecuting the Tea Party and veterans groups and Christian groups. It's in the news today. I have it in the stack. Norquist book, IRS assault on Tea Party saved Obama's presidency. Shutting down political competition. Very creepy. Even if I wasn't a libertarian or / paleoconservative, I would be against the persecution of a political group by the state. I mean, that's the ultimate danger historically, and we're living through it yet again. That's just some of what's coming up. We'll look at cult moles revealing secret government plan to cut cell phone service and take over the internet. We told you about the Obama kill switch 6 years ago. It's now in Ars Technica today. Of course, Ron Paul did attend Rand Paul's presidential campaign launch. He has launched his campaign. He didn't do it at Jerry Falwell's old college. He did it at a private party. That's certainly big news, and the attacks are coming in big time. They're attacking Rand Paul on Media Matters, MSNBC, CNN just this weekend. Without even paying attention, I've seen 2 clips online associating him with me and his father as if that's something bad. Ron Paul brought Rand Paul to the dance. And I got him a bunch of punch and danced with him. So I don't even care if Senator Paul's people don't want him on the show. I haven't even really tried. He says he'll come on. What I don't like is the neocons trying to brainwash him into running away from his libertarian base that many polls show he's the only guy that could beat major Democratic candidates. There's a reason the system's attacking Rand Paul. They're scared of him because he's a really good guy.
Cam, this is William Klein. He was wrecking an office.
But I just wanted to meet them face to face. I wanted them to admit what they were doing.
Who is they? He was in the office of the Trilateral Commission.
Trilateral Commission?
Yeah, the Trilateral Commission.
All right, what is the Trilateral Commission? The Tornado Commission is a private organization founded by David Rockefeller in 1973.
But you see, what they're really up to is a scheme to plant their own loyal members in positions of power in this country, to work to erase national boundaries and create an international community, and in time bring about a one-world government with David Rockefeller calling the shots.
Rockefeller, come back. We don't want your New World Order, you know?
Rockefeller, we know what you're doing. Your New World Order will never come in.
We're not your slaves. We are not your slaves.
You helped start the Trilateral Commission, and you've been to the Bilderberger groups. There is such a thing as insidious influence.
I'm telling you, our whole way of life as we know it is in jeopardy.
I appreciate that information.
But I have the documented evidence. It's all in there. Show him.
Its most notable members include George Bush.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
Are you happy for the millions of deaths you're part of? People know. People are waking up to the reality of this, Mr. Bush, you piece of shit.
Dick Cheney.
I think that what needed to be done was done. I think we were perfectly justified in doing it, and I'd do it again in a minute.
One of the things you got to figure out.
Bill Clinton.
Phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
Henry Kissinger.
When really a new world order can be created, it's a great opportunity.
Madeleine Albright.
I think this is a very hard choice. We think the price is worth it.
Now, you remember at the convention, everybody thought it was going to be Ford for Veep. You know what happened? David Rockefeller just picked up a phone, put in a call. Hey, Ronnie, forget Jerry, it's George. Bye. So, no matter who won in November, they had their man in the White House.
David Rockefeller founded all the major UN groups. Their family gave the UN the land. I mean, this is the global empire.
New World Order is the headline in the Globe and Mail. And
is this global governance at last? Is it one world? The central bankers in charge?
We are grateful the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promise of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we would have been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years. But the work is now much more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones, broadcasting worldwide. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
What would you call that little 2-minute, 50-second promo intro piece that Rob Dew, our news director, put together? Barney Miller destroys David Rockefeller? And that's a show from, is that the late 70s or like 1981? I guess it had to be like 1981, 82, because it was talking about the 1980 election. But, of course, that was the big debate back in 1980. I remember John Birchers coming over to the house and ranting around the dinner table with my parents about the exact things you just heard, because it's true. And you notice 35 years later, 36 years later, the world government, the global corporations running things, freedom being destroyed, world government being set up, it's all naked now. But I love how we can take some predictive programming like Barney Miller. Do you think they were criticizing it or hiding it in plain view or discrediting it? Or maybe trying to get the word out? You'd have to watch the whole episode to decide that. But regardless, now we can show David Rockefeller and Zbigniew Brzezinski and others on C-SPAN admitting the plan for planetary world government. Dr. Jerome Corsi, a political scientist and economics professor, will be joining us in the third hour today to give us his detailed analysis on what's really happening with the Iran deal. So Dr. Corsi joining us today. Other than that, we'll have open phones. Let me just go over some of the headlines here and how they correspond. And this is not in the order of top story to the least important. There's just, my head is spinning looking at these stacks. And so I'm just going to begin in kind of the order as my eyes fall upon it. Warmongers hit Rand Paul with slander campaign as he announces presidential run. And we have a clip here put out by a John McCain PAC. John McCain has announced he is running for the Senate again. And John McCain, who never saw a war he didn't love, is behind this new 30-second ad called Sanctions, attacking Senator Rand Paul, who launched his campaign today. Here it is.
The Senate is considering tough new sanctions on Iran. President Obama says he'll veto them, and Rand Paul is standing with him. Rand Paul supports Obama's negotiations with Iran, and he doesn't understand the threat.
You know, it's ridiculous to think that they're a threat to our national security.
Rand Paul is wrong.
Those are the same type of ads that were run against Barry Goldwater in the early 1960s that got Lyndon Baines Johnson elected right after they killed Kennedy. And, of course, Barry Goldwater was just like Rand Paul, spoke out against the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, world government. He would have been way better than even somebody like Ronald Reagan, who was pretty good on many fronts. But they ran ads like that out of context. He went on in that interview, because I know he said similar things here, Senator Paul, that we have 10,000 nuclear weapons aimed at them, and if they use it, it'd be suicide. And that if Israel wants to attack them, that's their national prerogative. That's what Ron Paul has said, but that we shouldn't be involved, and we shouldn't have aid to Israel or Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Pakistan or anybody else. He is a libertarian constitutionalist, and now Bloomberg has the headline, GOP hawks set to ruin Rand Paul's big day. By the way, these are the hawks that pretty much fill the Obama cabinet. It's all on the surface that they're really fighting with Obama. If Iran gets out of line one bit, that will give them the excuse at the UN to get the authorization for military strikes. And they want that to establish the UN as the boss. That's why they don't want Israel hitting them now. They want to make it look like that they have really given Iran all the sail they need, all the rope they need to hang themselves. And there is a double cross against Saudi Arabia going on right now. And they've got their own lobby here in the U.S. It's in the news that they've given tens of millions to Hillary through her foundation that she then uses for her campaigns. It's totally illegal. But the Saudi Arabians are bankrolling Hillary Clinton and Obama. And so on the surface, it looks like Obama's siding with the Iranians in these civil wars. But that's not really what's going on. It's a double, triple cross. There's no honor among thieves, so we'll be looking at every angle of that today. I'm going to get more into Rand Paul, quote, I'm running for president. Then we're going to get into, quote, this is why the U.S. just lost its superpower status, according to Larry Summers, who, of course, heads up Harvard and who is the main architect of the current economic derivatives fraud. I mean, there are a lot of people involved, but if you got to point to one person, it's Larry Summers that got all the laws changed, heading up the Economic Council for President Clinton. And now they're claiming that China's Economic Development Bank and the way the U.S. handled it signals the end of our hegemon. That's not what's happening. The globalists are transferring things into a trilateral global plan where three trilateral systems, the U.S., the Euro, and China, the European Union, the Americas Union, the Asian Union, will compete with each other on who can accelerate globalism and global governance faster, claiming that if you do that and transfer power to your trilateral head, there's three of them, uno, dos, tres, tricycle, then you will be dominant in the global government. And then, of course, they just merge all three. They wrote that in 1976. Those are public trilateral commission documents that anybody can read. The plan for the trilateralist world. And he says the U.S. is going to lose the race for global dominance because we've not accelerated our trilateralist plan, which was the trilateralist plan to get us into a trilateral system, which is really a UNO system, a unified omnibus system, and then everybody competing within the global system as they phase out the yens, the yans, the euros, and the dollars into a global SDR. I mean, I tell you, I could spend 5 hours on this one article. You read this, it's sick. It's out of Zero Hedge. It quotes the London Guardian, a bunch of other publications where he's giving quotes. And he put a letter out that was published time U.S. leadership woke up to the new economic era by Larry Summers. They maneuvered us into disaster and then say give them more power and control to fix it. It's classic. Absolutely, totally classic. Now, let's look at the attack on free speech when we come back from break. And who are the real totalitarians, censors? Who is really seeking to end free speech as we know it selectively in this country? Who are the real threats to a true liberal society in the Founding Fathers' view of liberal? More land, lower taxes, more control over your life, more room for free speech, more diversity, more ideas, more voting with your dollars. My name is Alex Jones. Most of you know me from my syndicated radio program and my documentary films, as well as InfoWars Nightly News. When I got on air 20 years ago, I had discovered the globalist program, their plan to take over the world and install a corporate fascist state. I had read their own books, discovered their own documents, and my focus went from running 6 miles every other day, swimming 2-3 miles a couple times a week, and lifting weights to focusing on fighting the globalists. I transformed my body from the beautiful gift that God gave me into something more akin to Jabba the Hutt. It became an internet joke. But now I've started the transformation back, getting my body, my temple in shape, and I'm about to tell you how I did it. I've gone from 279 pounds all the way down to 235 pounds, and the weight's going off even faster. I started taking Super Male Vitality and saw incredible results in just a few weeks. The problem was, though, I'd never been a vitamin and mineral and supplement taker before, so I kept forgetting to do it. So after I'd lost over 60 pounds, just a month and a half ago, I asked the crew to take a photo of me in the same lighting to see what I could do in just a month and a half. This is what happened in just 45 days. We took this photo back there in the back office, and I'd already lost a lot of weight, but I lost another 6 pounds with the Oxy powder and the other products at InfoWarsLife.com, and this photo was just taken a few days ago. And it wasn't just that my weight loss accelerated. My muscle mass increased. My stamina, my energy levels exploded. Super Male has the key concentrated natural compounds that my body needed to go to the next level. Today is the day to take the InfoWarsLife.com challenge and to secure your bottle of Super Male or Super Female Vitality. We've got to get our temple straight before we can go out and fight the globalists, and that's what these products have helped me do. Check them out today at InfoWarsLife.com or give our crew a call. They can answer all your questions or tell you about any of the specials at 888-253-3139.